Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and today we are taking a look at another Safari LTD 2020 figure, and this one is their Qianzhousaurus. It is a species that I've never seen get a figure before, so I'm really excited now to see one made by Safari LTD, but also to enter one into my collection, as this is a species, like I said, that has just been kind of eluded when it comes to dinosaur figures and collectibles. You just don't see it much. There may be some more higher end resin models out there, some resin kits, but as far as these smaller, more mainstream models go, it's just not something that seems to ever get a figure, so I'm really psyched to see it made here by Safari LTD. Now, it's not all that shocking that this species hasn't been made into a figure quite yet, because it hasn't been discovered for too long. I believe it was like 2014, so it hasn't been around all that long, but it did take a good 5 or 6 years before someone actually went ahead and attempted one, and we now have this beautiful version from Safari LTD. I think that at first glance, the coloration of it is really nice. I love the greens and the kind of mixture with the browns that they've used on the figure. The pose and everything looks very nice, very striking overall. Kind of appears that maybe it's about to chomp down on some prey or something with that mouth wide open there. But the only way to really tell just how nice this figure is, as always, is to get a closer look at it. So let's go ahead and do that right now. So starting up here at the head sculpt, you can see that overall the head sculpt sports some pretty darn nice detailing for sure. Really nice scaling all over the face. Look at the scaling here on the lower jaw. It looks really good. You can see the mouth is open nice and wide. You've got the skin flap there, which does appear to be the same coloration as the rest of the face, which is actually pretty different. When most companies create dinosaurs with their mouths open, they have that skin flap kind of there. It's usually a similar color to what you see on the inside of the mouth, or at least somewhat close to that coloration. But with the Safari LTD version that we have right here, you can see that the skin flap kind of is the same coloration as the rest of the face, and I do think it actually looks quite nice. So it wasn't a bad choice to go that route. You can see up here on the top of the skull of the animal, you've got a few areas that are kind of highlighted with like a whitish coloration, just to kind of make those areas jump out at you, give it a little bit of flashiness at the same time. Very nicely sculpted out nostrils right there. You've also got the ear back here at the rear of the skull. The eyes are painted with a brown, and then there's a blue eye and a black pupil. However, you can see that this eye actually has a little bit of sloppiness. Seems like the eye is down a little too far in comparison to where it should be. This eye actually looks picture perfect, and you can also see as I turn it, there's a really nice gloss. However, the opposing side here does have a little bit of sloppiness to the eye. Looking at the inside of the mouth, the sculpt work in there is really nice, and I love the back of the throat there. It gets kind of dark. It almost appears that it actually has a real throat there, and that doesn't just end back there. The shadows currently at play here on this dinosaur really make it look quite realistic, and the way they've sculpted that allows the shadows to fill that area perfectly to create that throat-like area. The teeth are painted quite nicely down there on the lower jaw. You can see there doesn't really appear to be any sloppiness or anything. Really beautifully done. I think the coloration of the inside of the mouth is also very realistic. The teeth on the upper jaw also look really good. Definitely quite nicely painted on the upper and lower jaws, so no real sloppiness or anything there from Safari LTD. As we lead down here into the neck, you can get an idea of the movement here of the neck, kind of like some skin folding and bending there. Almost looks a little bit of like wavy skin. And the really nice scaling continues down the animal. You can also pick up on kind of like a dark brown wash here on the underside of the throat. And it's got like a slightly different shade of green than you see up here, as the green up here is a bit darker. You've also got some brown stripes that litter the back as we move down here into the body. There is the shoulder blade that is quite nicely sculpted out. We come down here into the arms and hands. They look really good. Beautifully sculpted for sure. Very nice. Two-fingered Tyrannosaur-like hands, beautifully painted nails as well with a nice grayish color. That color looks very natural in comparison to the rest of the body, I think, as far as what the nail paint should have been. Definitely a nice choice there. You've got some really nice skin folding going on here, kind of some skin bunching up as the rear leg here on the left side of the animal is pushing into the body, kind of bunching that skin up quite nicely. You can really get a sense of the spinal column that runs along the back of the animal as well. Really nice scale work all over the animal once again. And look at the way the colors transition between the brown and that green. That is so smooth and so beautifully done. Very realistic paint application for sure. Then you've got the hip bone here, quite nicely sculpted. You can also get a sense of the musculature there, but it's not extremely defined like you see on some other figures, but I still think it looks really quite nice. Some more skin folding and skin wrinkling going on right there in the area of the knee. Beautifully sculpted out calf muscle there. And then the leg coloration transitions to like a yellowish brown here down on the feet. And look at those beautiful bird-like feet. Really, really beautiful looking sculpt for sure. As far as the feet go, the toes are nice and wide and stretched apart, beautifully painted and sculpted nails. You also have a nice scoot-like appearance that runs down the foot and then down onto the toes. Really beautiful work there. You've got the dew claw, which you can see if we look at the opposing foot. You can see it over here as well. They are painted again in that grayish coloration. And then as we move up here into the body, you can see some of the skin stretching off of the tail there. As we move out the length of the tail, that brown starts to pick up again. And I really love the browns and greens that they've used on the figure. I think it's really nice natural tones, and they are very nicely applied, very naturally applied. They transition back and forth between each other in absolutely realistic fashion, and the striping along the back, that nice brown striping, gives it such a very cool striking look all over the dinosaur. Also a really beautiful, very realistic curve, I think, here at the end of the tail as well. If we take a look at the opposing side, once again you can see some incredible looking scaling up here on the skull of the animal, the face and lower jaw and everything. Really, really nice detailing overall on this figure. It's so cool to see a figure of this species made, and I'm glad Safari LTD were the ones to tackle it initially, because they always release such beautifully, very highly accurate figures. And that's exactly what I'm seeing here on this dinosaur. I have seen this species portrayed with feathers in the past, but I think Doug Watson and Safari LTD chose the route of no feathers due to us more recently finding skin impressions on Tyrannosaurs, so I'm thinking that they probably chose to go that route with that scientific finding. As we lead down the neck, again you can see the nice scale work. You don't see quite as much skin folding and skin stretching or anything in the neck as I would expect to find, but I still don't think it looks bad or anything like that. Just maybe a little more skin stretching kind of on this side, which it does kind of appear to have some decent skin stretching, but with the head turned to the left a little bit, you would expect maybe a little scrunching of the skin here in the neck, and I mean, I guess you can see it. It's just not quite as visible as I'm used to when it comes to a Safari LTD sculpt. As you come down here into the arms, again, the nice shoulder blade there, beautifully sculpted hands and arms as we come down into the body. The nails are painted once again with that grayish color. Leading back up into the body, you can now see some of the skin stretching off of the animal as this leg is pulling the skin back. Lots of really nice skin folding and everything going on. You can just, in general, look at the animal. You can see lots of skin kind of bunching and moving all over the animal, really portraying the movement that is currently going on with this figure right now. Really nice brown stomach. Once again, the transition between the greens and browns looks really, really good. You've got the spinal column again that you can see quite nicely from this side. There is the hip bone, and then the very nicely sculpted out thighs and calves. Again, really beautiful calf muscle right there. As we lead down into the feet, very bird-like once again on this side. Really, really nice sculpt. I absolutely love the foot sculpt of this figure. And then we lead out the tail. Once again, you can see that brown pickup, and it looks really cool. Very, very nice color scheme. Again, nothing that's crazy bright and vibrant, but I honestly think that it looks really good. Very, very natural, and something I could 100% see this animal being. So beautiful work on the sculpt, paint, everything is absolutely awesome. As far as a size goes, from the head to the tail, you're looking at about 9.5 inches or about 24 centimeters in length, and for a height, about 3.5 inches or 9 centimeters. For a size comparison, just like with the Edmontosaurus review, we have a few blasts from the past when it comes to a previous version of the Safari LTD Allosaurus, Pachycephalosaurus, and one of my all-time favorites, the Monolithosaurus. So if you happen to have any of these figures, you should have a pretty good idea of the size of this figure in comparison to the others. I really think it is a very nicely sized, somewhere in the medium range, I would say. So this 2020 Safari LTD Qianzhousaurus is really beautiful. Honestly, another great addition to the 2020 line from Safari LTD. They continue to impress me with this line from this year. Many very cool species that they've released in the line this year, and every single figure that I have received so far has been an absolute win without question. Continuously beautiful figures created by Safari LTD, and I don't ever see that ceasing, and they continue to prove that again with pretty much everything I've seen from the line so far, and I'm very close to having all of them for the 2020 line, so I am pretty confident that the rest will follow through when it comes to absolutely fantastic figures. I think the sculpt of this looks really, really good, very accurate in comparison to what we do believe this dinosaur looked like. Again, sometimes I've seen this displayed with feathers. Safari LTD has chosen to go the route of scales as opposed to feathers, and I really do quite like it. I think it looks quite beautiful overall. Really nice scaling all throughout the figure for sure. Very nice fine detailing all over the dinosaur. Those very tiny teeth in the mouth there are painted quite nicely as well, so it's pretty shocking to see how good of a job overall the paint is on this figure. Again, there's a little bit of sloppiness to the eye paint of the left eye, but I think that's obviously going to be something that's just limited to mine. It's not something I would expect to be a widespread issue. The sculpt is pretty nice as well. It just kind of appears to be walking along, or maybe it could be in mid-battle and it's about to lean down and take a bite of something, as that mouth is nice and wide and gaping open, so it does look like it's reaching down for a bite to eat. Definitely appears to be looking in a downward direction as well. Everything as far as the body parts go when it comes to the way they are positioned looks very natural. Definitely doesn't appear to be anything out of the realm of possibility for this species. I think the coloration is also really beautiful. Very nice greens, beautiful greens in the beautiful browns, and they kind of transition back and forth between each other in very nice, very natural ways. So the way the paint is applied looks great. Very, very lifelike for sure, and definitely does not look like paint on a figure. It really does look like body color, and it also includes some really nice striping down the legs and down the back of the figure to give it again a bit of a striking look with very natural, very realistic tones of color all throughout. So this figure is absolutely fantastic. Another surefire win from Safari LTD for their 2020 line. So if you want to pick this up, I will include a link in the description to the Safari LTD website where you can do just that. So make sure you check down in the description of this video, follow that link straight to the Safari LTD website, and pick up this fantastic figure from the Safari LTD 2020 line right away. But before you do that, don't forget to please like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.